We're living in revolutionary times. The past 10 years have seen the greatest expansion of information in the history of humanity. Today, we create more information in 2 days than we have created information since the dawn of society. Two-thirds of humanity has access to cell phone. And two-thirds of humanity has access to the internet. There are more cell phones than humans in the planet. And computing power is growing exponentially. It doubles every 18 months. So there's been a lot of change in the last 10 years, if you've been around. So as a famous Mexican writer said, when I finally had all the answers, somebody changed the questions. As I've said, we're living in revolutionary times. Since 2011, inequalities have been around forever, but since 2011, it feels like suddenly the entire world is aware of it and sick of it. What happened since then? Institutions are under stress since the digital natives, those people born in the 24/7 world with the internet, they are becoming political. They have access to tools to connect and for more information. That access to information and to the connections translates into more expectations. And nothing grows faster than expectations. They want better education, they want better services, they want better health, they want no corruption. Governments cannot respond with microscopic or homeopathic changes. We need to reframe structures. How can we talk about democracy if the political class is the least trusted institution in the world? Being a citizen is not anymore a passive role. We no longer think in hierarchies, we're thinking in networks, and we want our governments to be a node within that network. This was the internet almost 50 years ago, and sometimes it feels like the governments are still looking at the internet as this. Internet is not a digital extension of what we already do offline. It is a place that is rewiring the ways how groups, individuals, and states engage in politics, in economics, in social action, and governance. This is Facebook today, the connections around Facebook. Our generation is currently living in a drastic change in the very fabric of our society. We are at the same time understanding what democracy means for the 21st century and trying to create a dialogue sometimes with 20th century institutions. Citizens, we need to realize that we are not only consumers of public services. We will not solve the concept of government if we do not solve the concept of citizenship first. And understand that voting every once in a while cannot be the only interaction that we have with our governments. I'm going to start with a story. In my home in Mexico, in the north of Mexico, in Monterrey. In August 2011, a group of the Los Zetas cartel intended to send a message to the owner of a casino for failing to pay an extortion. At 3:50 p.m., 4 cars arrived at the casino, ordered everybody inside of the casino to leave the casino because they were going to pour gasoline and start a fire. This fire blocked the main entrance. The exit doors weren't, because of corruption, the exit doors didn't exist. They were just paintings in the building. And 150 people were trapped inside. This was the most violent incident and the bloodiest attack in the history of Monterrey in Mexico. On that same day, a network of volunteers went to Twitter and became one of the most important voices to alert and provide assistance to citizens of Monterrey and its metropolitan area. From missing persons to legal aid to follow up on the investigations, and they started using Twitter. These networks of volunteers became an institution called the Center for Citizen Integration. And they tapped into the conversation that is already out there on Twitter and verify it, forward it to the official institution, and follow up on it. They understood that we cannot separate civic life from social life. We cannot create an app and tell them, this is the app where you will report whenever you want to communicate with me, and whenever you want to communicate with your friends, go to Twitter, and whenever you want to communicate with your family, go to Facebook. We cannot separate civic life from social life. We need to go where citizens are. Thanks to that, today they have 60,000 validated reports that have been addressed and forwarded to the institutions of the metropolitan area. Today they are the pulse of the city, a measurement of real time of what's going on in the city. One least dramatic example of the potential of these trust networks in Monterrey is this. This person tweeted that her car had been stolen, and in February, a few months ago. And when the CIC received that report and retweeted and started asking their citizens if they've seen the car, it only took 11 minutes till they find the car. People started replying, saying, I've seen the car goes by here, I see the car go by here, and until they said, their car is here, call the police. And yeah, it had a huge success, but the most important thing is that they understood that the conversation is already out there, they already tapped into that. Even if this sounds like it's only possible through technology, what I'm talking about is nothing new. I'm talking about transparency, I'm talking about accountability, I'm talking about trust. The only difference is that we can do it now in real time. Going back to the CIC, they have just recently opened up an API where civic hackers can connect to their database and create apps on top of that. They created several apps, but the most important thing is that they're moving away from just developing apps, the pothole or the buses, to actually solving big problems. From apps that create communities where citizens and governments can together take challenges like education, security, health, power outages, governance. This one here that I'm showing is a tool that lets you create your routes from point A to point B based on the least probability to be in the middle of a gunfight. And another example, it's a few months ago also, this year, the Mexican Congress, it was leaked that they had signed a contract with a local company to make an app for the Congress for internal use, an iPhone app and an Android app for $10 million. $5 million each app. So instead of angry tweeting, which we were with a few friends, what we decided to do is, let's ask the community if they want to create the same app for $1,000 and for an iPad, and in 1 week, and make it open source. And we received 179 applicants, 5 finished apps in 5 days, and at the end, when the Congress called us, they said, come to the Congress, present the apps here, we will integrate the apps to the flow of the Congress, and also they cancel the contract. When the guy that leads the commission of the digital science and technology of the Congress, when he saw the apps, he went to the stand and he said, you know what, after seeing what these guys have done in a week with $1,000, I believe that $10 million is a little bit more. There's another group that is using the internet to make their voices heard, trying to explain their role and mission to the society, and also to solidify their power. These groups have found in the internet a channel to get their message through the media, to other criminal groups, to the society, and most importantly, to the government. Everybody loves selfies, even though the drug dealers do, and they show their tools. That's a golden AK-47. The internet has not only become a platform that has helped make evident the violence that we're living in Mexico and the social problems that we have. It's also the invisible thread that is helping connect the fragments of our divided country. This is a video of a guy that known as La Tuta. He is the leader of a drug cartel known as the Knights Templar. They are in the west of Mexico, in the state of Michoacán. This video that has more than 1.5 million views is just himself talking to the camera, saying that he's a criminal, but there are different levels of criminals, and that military should conduct with honor whenever arresting any one of his guys. And he even asked the president to put some order in his state, because if not, he will do it. And this is the other type of communication. These are the narco corridos, or the narco songs. This is music accompanied by very violent lyrics of the drug dealers singing about their murders, their smuggling actions, their extortions, while bragging about their power that they have. This is a multi-million-dollar industry in Mexico. They even have Grammy Awards about this. And this is spreading through the internet, mainly amongst the youth, strengthening the culture of violence as a common business. This video has 2,600,000 views. And the president's first State of the Union has 16,000 views. So society and criminal groups are understanding the internet as a way to connect to each other and to communicate in different ways. But what's going on with the governments? Governments can be brutal, or corrupted, or stupid. But the best have held their citizens to live longer, safer, richer, and freer lives. Today, the most valuable things democratic governments can grow are intangible: creating trust, creating happiness, creating knowledge, creating capabilities, and confident institutions. I joined the government a couple of months ago, and this was the first day in office. We had 2 hurricanes that hit the country at the same time. And when we had a meeting with all the institutions that were working on the recovery, we realized that it was a mess. There was different kinds of information, and there was not a clear one single message to the citizen. And citizens were using Twitter, again, to try to understand what's going on in a local level. So what we did is we just put everything together in one single place where citizens could see and realize, using tools like Car2TV, and realize what's going on, what's the real damage, what's the location of the hurricane in real time, and also, more, open up the door and tell the citizens, do you want to collaborate with us? These are the 5 tools that we're needing. We don't need another map to report more damage. We need these 5 very specific tools. So the approach that we're trying to do is we're trying to approach every project as an experiment that we're performing. It needs to have a clear view about why, where, what, and how are we doing this, in that order. This is another project that we're doing right now. Mexico is very well behind in the open data strategy. As Chris said at the beginning, this is not a new thing, but in Mexico it is. And instead of launching 10,000 data sets, what we're doing first is asking the citizens what they really want. What's the demand, and so we can create the offer. Because we don't want to say we have 10,000 data sets that nobody's using. We want to say these are the data sets that these guys are using, and thanks to this economy is being created. So going back to the why and where, first of all, we're asking, why are we doing this? What is the purpose? We need to find a balance within the public needs, the aspirations, the fears, and our realities. Where are we seeking to achieve this? What is the context and capacities to get things done? What are we trying to achieve? What are the desired goals and outcomes? And finally, how are we doing this? Which strategies, which allies, which technology are we using? That's why the why, the where, and the what, and the how needs to be in that order. Because if we start with the how, with I'm going to create an app to report this, then we're forgetting all the purpose, and we're not considering the context, and we're not considering who our users are. We launched this, it's like kind of a hot or not survey. It has around 100 questions, but it shows in a random basis 2 questions. What do you prefer, this one or this one? And so far, we've had almost 30,000 replies in 3 weeks. And finally, since all actions have unexpected results, we need to ask ourselves which actions did work and which ones didn't. Should we rethink our purpose? Should we rethink our approach? This is never a linear process. This is a cycle, even if that sometimes means failing. The first project that I showed you as a government now evolved into this, which is a transparency that shows how all the use of funds is being redistributed. And now we're thinking how we're going to scale that. That is the only way we will achieve smart cities, by creating a smart citizens. And I promise this is the last time you're going to hear this, but we need to enable platforms and ecosystems where citizens can innovate and create their own tools and their business models to meet necessities in their own ways. The intelligence of cities lies in the individual and the collective minds of people who live there, not merely in the technologies they deploy. There is a tool that we launched almost a year ago in Egypt when we wanted to crowdsource the new constitution. And we realized that almost 100% of the population that is online is on Facebook. So we didn't want to create a new website. We just launched a Facebook app, and we received around 100,000 people participating. Smart cities technologies can provide useful knowledge about urban systems and services, but intelligent implementation requires critical understanding of what these technologies amplify and what they reduce. This is an example of a project in the Dominican Republic where we are trying to understand where the power outages are, what's the main problems in which neighborhoods, and what are the social dynamics of these particular neighborhoods. New tools are helpful, even essential, but cities and government interactions are, for the most part, relational and context-dependent. We can never forget that. Trust in communities is not an algorithm, it's not an app. As the stories showed here demonstrate, it is not the technology itself that moves society forward, it is the people behind it that does. Institutions cannot be imposed from the top, but rather they are built from the bottom up, one interaction at a time. Thank you very much.